Let's do this. Hey, I'm Stephanie, and welcome to Wine Club. This is the playlist where I drink good wine while I whine about bad books. And today's offender is The Last One by Will Dean. Warning, there are going to be spoilers in this review. If you want a spoiler-free version of this review, please check out my What I Read in June video. Also, as I say in all my reviews, this is solely about the book and not about the author as a person. I'm sure he is a great guy. But let's go ahead and see what this book promised. Has she lost her mind? Or is that what they want her to think? When Kaz steps on board the exclusive cruise liner, RMS Atlantica, it's the start of a vacation of a lifetime with her new love, Pete. On their first night, they explore the ship, eat, dance, and make friends. But when Kaz wakes up the next morning, Pete is missing. And when she walks out into the corridor, all the cabin doors are open. To her horror, she soon realizes that the ship is completely empty. No passengers, no crew, nobody but her. The Atlantica is steaming into the mid-Atlantic, and Kaz is the only person on board. But that's just the beginning of her terrifying journey in this white-knuckle mystery. Sounds so mysterious, right? Sounds intriguing, right? Maybe supernatural? Maybe? Wrong. This book blurb is a lie. Okay, maybe not a total lie, but extremely misleading. Kaz does wake up on the ship alone, pretty early on in the story. But she's only alone for 14 pages as she runs around the ship. We know she's not alone by page 25. This whole book blurb is over in 25 pages. Part of the mystery is already gone. Oh. What the fuck, Dean? Like, come on. It sounded so interesting. This was less mystery on an empty cruise ship and more Saw at sea, complete with its own jigsaw. This was not at all what I expected after reading that back cover copy, and I'm obviously pretty annoyed with it. I honestly was hoping for something supernatural or something creepy and bordering unexplainable, but nope. I mean, at this point, again, you know there's spoilers in this. Kaz is not alone, and she's being watched by people on the dark web. She's on a new reality show. Kaz is one of 4 contestants on this Survivor at Sea show. Seriously? Seriously? That's the route we want to take this. Which honestly, that's fine. If that's what you want to write about, fine. But then be honest about it in the back cover copy. This book tries to worm its way out of this by saying that all the contestants consented when they agreed to the terms of the cruise, including any events. Bullshit. That would not hold up. That is not consenting to being filmed. That is not consenting to bodily harm. That is not consenting to being stripped of food and water and heat and essentially being mentally tortured. Because honestly, that's what this becomes. Torture. I would have rather had Kaz alone on the ship, but that's not what this is. I really have to call shenanigans on the reality show producers being able to get 1,000 people off the ship in the middle of the night, and not one person thought it was weird, especially Kaz's partner, Pete. Like, did he not realize that things were not on the up and up? And then even one of the other characters, he's traveling with a friend. That guy didn't throw a fit when they were being told to get off the ship without their partners. And at the end, we find out that Pete was told that Kaz was going on a reality show. But if he's her love, wouldn't he know that's something that she would not do or she would have told him about? I mean, you know the personality types of people who like to go on reality shows. If I was told after being separated from my husband that he was going on a reality show, I'd be like, I'm sorry, who? Because I don't think you have my husband. Also, quick side note, we find out that Kaz is like 50 years old, and there's nothing wrong with her being middle-aged, but she did not come off as mature as she should be. I fully expected her to be like 31, as she reads like such a naive child, and is able to do some of the physical challenges that present themselves extremely well. There are women in their 50s who are in great shape, no doubt. But Kaz herself does not read that way. She reads as a very sheltered, indoor kind of girl. But sure, eventually she's gonna jump off the ship into the sea and be completely fine. This book was tough. All right, so we have our main girl, Kaz, and then the other contestants are Daniel, Francine, who goes by Franny, and Smith. Smith is a tool and a misogynist, and I kind of wish the other characters had just pushed him off the ship when they first met him. Would have saved a lot of trouble. Franny is also kind of annoying and becomes a real pain in the ass by the end. But we find out that essentially they have 4 challenges to complete: mind, body, water, and air. The prize for winning is $5 million, and the other participants will get $50,000. So most of the story is not really about these challenges. Most of the story is about Kaz's internal monologuing about her dad's gambling addiction and how she needs to win this money to pay off his debts and restore her family's reputation. How she misses her sister and hopes she hasn't returned to her drug addiction. Oh, and did you know her dad gambled? Her dad was a gambler. He took risks. He placed a lot of bets. He was a betting man, a gambling man. He liked to gamble. That's all I really know about Kaz. She had a dad who gambled. Again, that's all she internally monologues about. I honestly, once the reality twist was thrown in there, I thought we were going to find out that the reality show was put together by people that her dad had ripped off to fund his addiction, and that this was how they decided to get even with the family, as he had already taken his own life. But nope, it's just a reality show that got 1,000 people off a ship in the middle of the night just to keep 4 people on it, outfitted it with a gazillion cameras and thermal tracking, outfitted it for these jigsaw challenges, and wasted fuel driving them in circles. That is a shit ton of money for this little experiment and reality show. But it gets worse, because in the end, we find out that it was really only Kaz and Smith competing. Franny and Daniel are actors. Go to hell, book. I'll go straight to hell. So at some point, we also meet this woman, Michelle, who was the actor who was hired to be the host of the show. And then she tells them that, like, after Daniel's challenge goes wrong and he gets trapped under the cover for a pool, and so they all assume that he has become deceased. She tells them that now she has been locked out of her room and that the show's producers have turned on her too and are going to make her suffer for views and clicks. Gets a little weirder as she tells them that the show is on the dark web and how it's basically become a show where the viewers can pay to make things happen, and these viewers are essentially wanting to see real people die. In the end, it really doesn't turn out to be that. It's just a reality show. But again, Kaz and Smith did not consent to being in this. The dark web backstory was something. It was kind of convoluted, as the show has brought new users to this hidden world, and the show is accelerating the adoption of the dark web and increasing cryptocurrency acceptance and changing the online world faster than ever before. I'm sorry, but no. Have you met the average person who uses the internet? Some people can't even remember how to log into Facebook, let alone navigate the dark web. without accidentally downloading 90 viruses and having their bank information stolen. Ugh, honestly, I'm going to skip quite a bit because this book is over 400 pages and everything I'm skipping is ridiculous. And again, this is just, it's just torturing these characters. Ugh. This is so not what I thought it was going to be. It was pretty gruesome and pretty cruel. And I'm not sure exactly what point the book was trying to make. I get the whole reality TV can be gross and it has lasting psychological effects on the contestants. But at least those people knew what they were in for. It's hard to make the theme stick when Kaz and Smith did not agree to this. In the end, it really became about the shock value, and I just really didn't like it. Again, my expectations were here and the book quality was here. I also have to say the dialogue in this is beyond terrible. There were several instances that I wondered if my copy had printing errors or if Dean forgot to go back and add transitions, as characters would be having a conversation and suddenly they just share their backstory or talk about something completely unrelated for like an entire page. Like, I'm gonna have to look at some examples here because it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, so they're all walking around trying to figure out what's going on. Daniel asks, he was in your cabin this morning, and I point, talking about Kaz's partner Pete, I point to my wrist. I just have this left. And then she talks about how her relationship with Pete shaked out. So this is page 71. Daniel tries his phone again. Nothing, I say, which you say, that's you asked. It's a question. There's a question mark after nothing. He shakes his head. My old man walked away when I was 7 years old, says Smith, dragging another chair closer to rest his feet on. 2 days before my birthday it was. We owned a trailer park in Arkansas. 70 trailers or so. Modest enterprise. Mom ran it as well as she could. Gave people chances, second chances, third chances. View of the, I'm gonna butcher this, Ouachita Mountains. I'm so sorry. In the background. Small convenience store on the lot. It wasn't a bad place. People had to keep their dogs on leashes, and there was no loud music permitted after 9. Anyway, one morning I woke up for breakfast, and there was a note in his cereal bowl. It was weighed down with a spoon. Said how he was leaving town. Had things to do. How I should take care of my mom and not be too much of a bother. Do we need all that backstory from Smith? Do I need, couldn't he have just said, yeah, my dad walked out on me once? It's unrelated to what they were already talking about. Let's see, I had another example pegged. Okay, so they're still trying to make contact with the outside world. I join the others. I think it might be wise to try another Mayday broadcast from the bridge, says Daniel. Depending on our course, we could be closing in on Bermuda or Greenland or St. Helena. I'm heading to the library, says Smith, staring out at sea. My first visit since grade school. Middle-class kids from the burbs used to make fun of me back then. Kevin Parkinson especially, nasty little bastard. I got my alphabet mixed up. Spelling things the wrong way, numbers too. I'll go look for basic electronics manuals. You never know your luck. He glances at me. You both go on with Daniel. Go on. I don't care about Kevin Parkinson. What? Why? Why? And then lastly, alright, so page 215. Smith says, where were you then, Kaz? Strangely quiet this morning. Where did you go? I look around at their faces, the light from outside intensifying. Distrust, us turning against each other. Lord of the Flies reimagined. The beginnings of a headache or migraine behind my eye sockets. I went out to clear my head. I hate getting blurry, tipsy. Don't like the lack of control. So I went up on deck in the rain to drink water from a saucepan and breathe some fresh air. I was thinking about my sister, Gemma, if you must know. How the stress of my being away will be weighing on her, and her rotten ex-husband who's never paid what he owed, still loitering in her neighborhood, still trying to worm his way back into her life. They share kids. It's complicated. I was thinking about her. You happen to go down to the lounge and open a box, says Smith. People, don't talk like this. Truly, I thought I was missing something the first time it happened, but then it just kept happening. It felt like it was the only way Dean knew how to add characterization, but to me, it was just so poorly executed. Honestly, a lot of this book was poorly executed. I get adding backstory to characters, but find a more natural way for them to do this instead of just dumping all of this. Like, have them have actual conversations about their past instead of, I'm going to the library because kids used to make fun of me there. Okay, like, people don't talk like this. So, the twist about the reality show, find that out pretty early. But it is the final twist in this book that got me so mad that I was reading this on a road trip. I almost rolled down the window and tossed this book out onto I-70 and let other cars destroy it. So Kaz ends up winning the game because, again, Franny and Daniel are actors. They don't count. And then she and Smith jump off the boat together and he seems to drown. So she wins. She wants nothing to do with the production studio and is refusing interviews and such. Even her asshole boyfriend is trying to get her to participate in the publicity shtick, but she just wants to go home. Although I do have to call foul, as she wins and then says she doesn't want the money. Like hell, she wouldn't take it to sue their asses. She ends up splitting it with Smith, and that is the last we hear of him. Anyway, she and Pete are heading back to England. They're flying home. And okay, I can do this. She goes to the bathroom, and when she exits, the plane is empty, like the ship at the beginning. Oh, fuck off. Some people have loved this ending by reading Goodreads reviews, but I think this is hot garbage. Unless that plane is speeding across a never-ending runway at 500 miles an hour, there is no way the production studio could evacuate an entire commercial jet in, the 5 minutes that Kaz is being slow in the bathroom? No. So there's also another bit of bad writing where they end up getting drugged at this dinner, so they're finally given some food. But then they wake up with things running over their feet and all around them. And yeah, I could have guessed what it was, but it takes 4 pages to finally say that the scurrying creatures are rats. It is 4 pages of the pronoun game of, there's dozens of them, they're running everywhere. But name what they are. I'm not caught up in the suspense because I'm just pissed that I don't know what exactly is going on. I also have to say that the ending is so rushed, and I could pinpoint the moment that it kind of felt like Dean got bored with his own story and was ready to wrap things up and close this book out. There's also one other weird thing that I had to point out. So it is talked about a lot that there are 12 dogs on the ship. Okay. But the dogs matter so little to the plot, minus the one who is always growling and baring his teeth at them, so they just leave it locked in its cage, and it has a 1-paragraph payoff later. But just kidding, it's an actor dog. But that means that the dogs mean so little to the story. I thought we were going to find out that the characters were going to have to eat a dog to survive, which really would have made me throw this out the window. But no, it's not that. But it also takes them a week to realize that, hey, we have food. It's just designed for the dogs, but maybe we should eat the dog food to survive. What's with the dogs, Dean? Why are they here? What is the point of them? I will say a few nice things. The things I did like is that Dean does create great tension, and I could feel their hunger and the cold and the desperation of the characters. The chapters are also super short and easy to read, but they do all end in cliffhangers, and there are like 130 chapters. At the end of the day, I'm still torn on my rating for this. I'm leaning towards 2 stars, and I feel like I am being very, very, very generous with that rating. I do think if my expectations had been set better, I would have felt a lot differently about this. If I had known more of like the real genre that this book was in, I could have accepted a lot of the plot better and at least been willing to hoist anchor and set sail on this crazy adventure. The premise itself is actually fine, but it's not what I was sold by reading the back cover copy. And as it was, I could not suspend enough disbelief, and the story became more convoluted and ridiculous than I expected it to be. I have to say that I'm afraid Dean just might not be the author for me, as I also did not like the ending of his other work, or one of his other works, Firstborn. I remember I liked that, I think up until like probably 75%, and then we got like the reveal of what was really going on, and I was not impressed. But I did really love the cruise ship setting of this, so if you have any recommendations for good thrillers set at sea, please leave your recommendations in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for joining me at Wine Club.